Hello kids, this is me, Ati Dab, and today we are going to tell you a story about Naomi and Ruth. This is a Bible story that can be read from the book of Ruth. Are you ready? If you are, let's go. Once upon a time, long, long ago, there lived a kind woman named Naomi. She lived far away from her home in Bethlehem because there wasn't enough food there. Naomi moved to a land called Moab with her husband and their two sons. In Moab, Naomi's sons grew up and married two lovely young women from Moab, Orpah and Ruth. They were all one big happy family for a while. Back then, something very sad happened. First, Naomi's husband passed away, and then her two sons also passed away. Naomi, Orpah, and Ruth were left alone. Naomi missed her home in Bethlehem very much, and she heard that there was food again in her homeland. She decided it was time to go back. Naomi loved Orpah and Ruth, and she didn't want them to be sad or worried. She told them gently, "My dear girls, you should go back to your own families. They will take care of you. I must travel back to my home in Bethlehem." Orpah and Ruth cried because they loved Naomi so much. Orpah was sad to say goodbye, but she listened to Naomi and went back to her own family. But Ruth couldn't imagine leaving sweet Naomi. She held Naomi close and said some very famous, loving words. "Don't ask me to leave you. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God." Ruth was saying, "We are best friends forever, Naomi. I will stay with you." Naomi saw how much Ruth loved her, and she knew they belonged together. So the two women, Naomi and Ruth, held hands and began the long journey to Bethlehem. When they finally arrived in Bethlehem, Naomi and Ruth needed to find food. It was harvest time, and the farmers were cutting down the barley and wheat in the fields. Ruth was a hard worker. She went into the fields after the harvesters to gather the leftover grain. This was called gleaning. In one of the big fields, Ruth met a very kind and wealthy man named Boaz. Boaz was a relative of Naomi's late husband. When Boaz saw how hard Ruth was working and heard that she was the loyal young woman who had traveled all the way from Moab to stay with Naomi, he was very impressed. "Stay in my fields, Ruth," Boaz told her warmly. "My workers will make sure you are safe, and I will make sure you have enough to eat and drink." Ruth told Naomi all about the generous man Boaz. Naomi was so happy. She knew that God was taking care of them. Boaz kept showing kindness to Ruth and Naomi. Soon, Boaz and Ruth fell in love. They got married and had a baby boy named Obed. Naomi was no longer sad. She held her grandson, Obed, and her heart was full of joy. Everyone in Bethlehem celebrated the loyal love between Naomi and Ruth, which had brought so much happiness and a new little family into the world. And guess what? Obed grew up to be the grandfather of King David, one of the most famous kings in the whole Bible. The story of Naomi and Ruth teaches us that true love and loyalty are stronger than anything, and that being a good friend brings wonderful blessings. The end. Thank you, kids. Thank you so much for listening and reading our story from the book of Ruth. I hope you learned and enjoy our story. See you on my next story, and have a good one. Always take care. Bye for now. See ya.